Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. You had a nice weekend. We had the clocks go back, so it might be this bulletin might be a little bit later than you normally expect, but I'm just going by the clocks change, okay? And it kind of frazzled my brain a little bit last night because I was so tired, but it was actually quite early, so it's just a case of getting used to the clocks change. So when you see things on the internet, like the economic calendar, it might not take into account the hourly change. For example, the FOMC would normally be at 7 p.m, but it's actually going to be at 6 p.m. So don't be stuck out waiting for 7 p.m. because it would have been gone. Right, so note that sometimes the economic calendar doesn't reflect the change in the clock, because we were on British summertime, okay, we're no longer on British summertime BST, we're back to GMT. So lots of red on the risk calculation, a little bit of green, so that's probably worth noting. I reset this at 24, it's now 28, so we're improving slightly on the technicals. The herd are very long and they've added long. Let's have a look. The yield curve, I think we're trying to flatten. I think it's trying to flatten, and that's the prerequisite to a steepening. So, but we've got a long way to go. We're not out of the woods at all. Just look at your VIX. VIX is like really high. We really pumped on Friday. Nasdaq had a good session, but the Dow Jones and the S&P negative. Treasury yields, I don't have the data for that. It was just interesting. UK 100 fell. The FTSE, France, and Japan. Individual companies did okay, but then you can look at the Nasdaq. Right, we did end up positive, and I think we've got Apple earnings this week, so that's going to be huge. Okay, so keep an eye on that. That can give us a bit of risk off or risk on just from that, because they're such a huge company with their market cap. Dollars unchanged. QDB scores. I reset this, refresh this. So we've got Aussie CAD at the top. It's got a good score, so that's okay. That makes sense. Pound Aussie is negative, so you might have seen the screenshot on Discord. The pound bubble is over here, the Aussie bubble over here, so therefore, you know, we had that deviation of the bubble, and it's fallen quite a bit since. So that's how you can use the bubbles, right? So just looking for deviation over the Asia range, and then potential reversals by London. But that's what the 2.1 logic comes into play, the robot. So that's how we're looking. Aussie at the top, and we got some cross yen at the bottom, and pound Aussie. And note that gold's always going to be at the bottom because we don't have the data for it. Okay, so kind of interesting that the Aussie's up there, but then we can just look at the bubble, and there's the Aussie bubble, right? So they're selling Aussie, and that's why it's performing well. Okay, so I'll show you the indices in gold. For me today, I'm going to be really careful, like I was last week, because of the risk calculation. This tells me to, if you want to buy the dips on indices, you've got to be really, really careful, because the herd are net long, and you don't really want to be doing the same as those guys. Ideally, these guys are normally really counter trend, and they're normally encounter huge losses, so you don't really want to be joining those guys, and hence why I'm sitting on my hands. I did it last week, and I'll do it again today until this at least shows signs of reversing, slowing down. Okay. So let's go back here, and so gold, we can start with gold. They're going long, so we can draw a box, rectangle. It was on the hour, you can see the line there, so that's the hour. So we got a resistance at 2002 and 2000, so a very thin supply because they've gone long. And I think 1990 is going to be the stop loss cluster, 2010 is the stop loss cluster, so I think probably down, maybe to challenge that, and then we'll have to wait and see. It might want to come down, up, bounce, and then continue higher, because you know, we are very much a buy at the big picture, but they're reducing those longs. It looks like they're adding longs. Apologies, they're reducing their shorts. So potentially 1990 up there, and it might be decision time, and then depending on what happens with the sentiment. So I think first perhaps SLC probe, and then maybe a bounce and a retest. So that could be quite technically quite strong. Sentimentally, we are a buy at the big picture, but we've got to be careful about that movement across time. If they can really continue to buy, then we're going to fall. Okay. US 30, no, God, the US 30, S&P. I think it's that clock change. I think that's what frazzled my brain a bit. They're really long, 67%, and they're just going a bit sideways. And we haven't really got any indication of a buy or risky buy here because there's no crossover. So yeah, how legit these candles are remains to be seen. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult to say. It's like you wouldn't want to go and buy that, but maybe there's some stuff out there in the news that's maybe easing fears. Perhaps the invasion of Gaza's coming to an end or something. I don't know. Maybe there's some fundamental reason for this to do okay. Sentimentally, just want to be really careful because there's no indication that this really should be coming up. It should be falling because we need that sentiment to come down. So be really careful. I'm really unsure today, and like I was last week, and I want to be buying the dips, but I'm not going to be buying it when they're long, 63% long, you see. And they were selling it, and now they're going sideways. So they're looking at the price action and think, well, maybe I'll buy, and then we can probably fall. So got to be careful. And we've got a channel. You can see we've got it clearly trending lower, right? So you've got to be careful. You don't really want to be fighting that trend. Waiting for it to stabilize first, go sideways, and then look to buy the dip. And DAX. And yeah, we might be making a risky buy. 68.24, 67.99. So we're quite close to crossing over. We want that percentage lower than the moving average. We want that to be lower, and then we'll be risky buy. Yeah, got to be careful. You could probably argue it trying to go a little bit sideways now. This is like clearly trending lower. We're now ranging, so maybe this is like a bottom potentially, technically speaking. And if we get the buy here, it could be okay. But you'd want them to continue to sell, and that's the trouble. We don't know what they're going to do in the future, and a scary news event will help get them to sell. Robot, I think. Yeah, this is the robot one. So we're doing okay with £29 profit, and you could probably argue some of these currency pairs were like a bargain because they'd really had fallen, and you're probably thinking, well, the big fish are probably stepping in. You know, they want to get a good risk reward, so they're buying low, and then they're going to sell high. Maybe Aussie USD is doing okay. We had some sells, but I moved to break even because we had a lot of AU buy and AU sell, and it just would have just meant break even. So I just got out a little bit of profit. Normally we never intervene, but last week was so choppy I had to, shed some positions, and they got out at break even. So fingers crossed it carries on, but I guess it will depend on risk appetite. You can see we've got some risk on currency pairs there, and we won't open any signals, apologies, until the VIX calms down. And you can see the VIX on Discord in the live prices up here. So we're interested in this metric there, and we want that to be below 19. Okay, not 20 but 19. Why have we got it to 19? Well, because 20 you're going to see a lot of fluctuation because everyone's looking at 20. Everyone in the world looking at VIX is going to be looking at 20. So we want that to be crushed first, and then once we crush 20, well, then we can go to 19. So I don't know if the robot will open up any trades, maybe until Wednesday. And so that's what you want to be keeping an eye on. It's one of the most important measurements that you can look at for trading, even with foreign exchange, because if this comes down, it's going to help risk appetite. If it really pumps, it's going to hurt risk appetite. Okay, and then that's it. So I'll speak to you guys later today in Discord, and I'll make a video tomorrow. And let me know if you need any help at all. I won't mind. I like to help. So have a good day. I'll speak to you guys soon.